Hey everyone, welcome to season 4 of Touch Taste Thursday. It is episode 1. I'm so excited. I am super excited about my guest that's going to be joining us tonight. I think you guys are going to love this couple. It's just good. And so we have them for the full hour. So first, let me just say thanks to everyone that has been paying attention, watching, liking, commenting, sharing, everything that's been going on for the last couple of months with the Jean Ellen collection. Thank you guys for being such strong supporters. I appreciate you all. But there is more that's going to happen throughout the course of this season. So make sure you stay locked in and you stay tuned to everything Jean Ellen Collection related. And make sure you go to my website at www.jeanellencollection.com. And we're going to get started with our guest for tonight for season 1 episode. This is season 4, episode 1. And the Power of Us brand, Leslie and Suleiman Mausi, and we're going to talk about their book. We're going to talk about them as a power couple. Oh my gosh, it's going to be just so good. Like, I think you guys are going to love this couple, their story, just their transparency. It's going to be great. So we're going to get them in. We're going to get started. We're going to have some conversation. Also, today is National Mac and Cheese Day. And it's National Grand Marnier Day. Forgot the Grand Marnier, but still, I did have my mac and cheese today. But in other news, I want you guys to make sure that you are registered to vote. If you're not sure, make sure you check with your Office of Motor Vehicle or your Secretary of State, depending on what they call it in your area. But make sure you are registered to vote. There's a lot of things that are coming up really soon that's very critical for all of us. So you need to make sure you vote for everything. Dog catcher, senior usher board leader, school board, all of it. Make sure you exercise your right to go out and vote. And so, with that being said, let's jump into episode 1. So we're going to bring my guest in and we're going to get started with them. I hope you guys have had an amazing week and the heat wave has somewhat subsided, but now be safe while you guys are out there, and make sure you're dropping in the comments that you can hear me, you can see me. Hope you guys have good sound and all that stuff. I'm always working. Right. I'm always trying to make sure I am improving on the sound quality for you guys. So let me know. Give me some thumbs up so that you can hear and see us. We can hear you. Do we sound good? Yes, I can hear you. All right. Look good. Okay, good. Yes, I'm excited. Hey, Leslie did it. She got it together. So welcome. It's a struggle. You know what I'm saying? It's always a new app. It's always a new this. It's always a new that. Absolutely. And a lot of people do not know Instagram is only going to work on your phones or tablets. So they're always like, well, my laptop is not working. I'm like, she can't use Instagram like that.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Becky.
Hey. Welcome to the Jean Ellen Collection. This is season 4, episode 1, and I am so excited to have you guys here with me. That might be sideways. Darzel said it might look sideways.
Oh, is it sideways?
It's a little sideways.
Is it?
We gotta fix it. But you sound good. It looks straight to us. Turn the iPad phone. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Gotcha. I'm gonna say, be patient. I told you it's a struggle. No worries. You know, we gonna work it out. Is that? Oh yeah. We got it. We getting it. We gonna work this out. Technology is, it's. There we go. And make sure you guys are following Power of Us brand and that you are going to their website, which is www.powerofusbrand.com for retreats, workshops, everything that is Power of Us related. You can also purchase a copy of their book, which I have here. And make sure you subscribe and like their YouTube channel called Power of Us Brand on YouTube. You guys, I'm telling you, this couple is like bomb.com. Like, they are bomb.com. I love them.
Let's see. How's that?
It's good. I'm getting a thumbs up that it's good. Can you hear? Now we can't hear you. Now we can't hear you. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Leslie, I already know Leslie's like, wait a minute now. So once you adjust it, just turn the volume back up.
Can you hear me?
Yes. It's technology. I mean, you know, it's not simple.
We over here laughing at ourselves. If you can see how we got this rigged.
Don't listen. Hey, we all making it work.
Okay.
Listen.
Let's see. How we doing?
Okay. It's looking like everything is good. I can hear you.
All right.
And I can see.
So you can hear us, we can hear you, we can see you. Okay.
Good.
Looks good.
Right.
All right.
Up, baby.
All right, let's go. Okay. One second.
All right.
I got you. Okay. Fire
So
away.
let's get into it.
For real.
Let's get started. Let's
Yes,
let the people
so.
know about Leslie and Suleiman Mausi. Like, who are you guys and what is your story? How did you meet?
Okay, I'll tell the story.
Okay.
I'm Suleiman. This is Leslie from Detroit, Michigan. We met at the club. It's a club in Detroit called Legends Nightclub.
Come on, Legends.
Yeah, that's just a pop back in the day. It's a strip club now.
Oh.
But, you know, it's downtown Detroit.
It was the spot back then.
It was the spot back then. It's probably the spot still now, but a different spot. But, you know, she was standing by the pole. She was over by the pole, and I was like, hey, would you dance with me?
It's the pole that holds up the ceiling. That pole.
Okay.
Pole. A column pole, call it what you want. It's got a line, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's you know, that's how we met. So I asked her to dance. She said yes. Put some, you know, sprinkle a little Wu-Tang on the put a little seasonings on it. You know what I'm saying? It worked, and you know, that was back in 1995. And we've been married 23 years since then. So that's my version of the story. You know.
Yeah, that's about right. It happened at the club. You know, we were long distance for the first 3 years of our relationship.
2 years.
Two. That's true. Long distance for the first 2 years. Yep.
Okay.
And you know, so we made it work. It was all good. It was, you know, us meeting, I was just out of a relationship. So I just told myself I'm gonna be out here. I thought I was gonna have my little hot girl summer, and I bump into him at the club.
Mm-hmm.
Looking all good, smelling good with a dimple in his cheek. I was like,
okay, all right. So how did you guys make it work with, okay, so in 1995, it's definitely not like 2022. We don't have social media. Everybody did not have a cell phone. How was that making it work for 2 years?
So really, it was the best time for me to have a long distance relationship because I was just out of college. I had the freedom to explore who I was. I had secured my first job in the Detroit public school system. So I had a lot to learn. There was a lot that was exciting. I was kind of on my own. So it was nice to kind of have somebody who was giving me attention, but wasn't so close that it, you know, it was an obligation or it took time away from me discovering who I was. And back then, I mean, he was in college, so he was finishing up his what he was doing. And back then, Delta Airlines was owned by, it was actually Northwest Airlines, and they had these Wednesday Cyber Saver fares. So about once a month, sometimes twice a month, you could catch one-way fares from Detroit to Raleigh, Durham for like $29, $39. So we would just watch that every Tuesday. And if we found it, if that Wednesday sale hit and it was $39 a piece, I would pay for a flight. He would pay for a flight. And so we really thought we were grown. I would fly down or he would fly up. And, yeah, we thought we were grown. We had a real grown woman and grown man courting.
Right.
It was hot. It was hot.
I love it. I love it. You can't even get people in the same city to come see you. So I love it. I'm here.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
it
here
would
for
be the equivalent of the Spirit, you know, the Frontier Airlines. So, hey, it was worth it.
The bottom line is you do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If something's going to work, you know, you figure out a way to make it work if it's supposed to be. If it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work, you know what I mean? And if you got to force it, then don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? So, but it kind of just fell into place. We were just babies. It was 21, 22 years old. Young. They do no better. You know what I'm saying? Didn't know no better.
Young
But,
and hot.
Come on, hot. I love it. I love it.
Look, my church girl version of hot, okay?
Come on, church girl version.
Church girl hot.
Them be the ones. But we're gonna, anyway.
You know, I don't know why people try to give us church girls these. I don't know, like what? I don't know what you mean. Like we just do Bible study and we pray and we take communion.
That ain't all we do. But we do that. That's what makes us a triple threat. You know what I mean? We got the spiritual down pat. We got that foundation.
Yes.
But you know, we know what we. You know,
I always say
there's that other piece too.
Yeah, get you a praying woman that can make your toes curl.
Ah, come on, toes. That's what I'm talking about. So
You know.
2 years after the back end, the travel from Detroit to Raleigh, graduations, you got careers going. So now we're at the marriage. At the wedding, we're at the culmination of this dating, courting, these grown folks courting.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going? It's your first year of marriage. Like, what is that like? Is that like what we see on TV where it's happy, and we all in love?
I'm talking about year one early? I'd say yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know, we were really in, you know what I'm saying? We got married at 25. And we had our first child, you know, about basically a year or so later. So, you know, it was hot and heavy. You know, we had a good time. You know what I'm saying? You know, we really had a good time. I was just moving back to Detroit, you know. I didn't have a dime, you know. We were really starting from the ground up. I think I was working Enterprise, running a car. I just finished college. Yeah. I had a felony on my record, so, you know, I had some challenges. A lot of that's in the book. You know, going through that transitional stage of, you know, transitioning from fake responsibility that we think is real when you're younger until it really gets real.
Deal.
Right.
You got to make some real grown life decisions and start going from there. So.
And so in the process of that, you guys started businesses. Your both families were already in the entrepreneurial mindsets, and so they kind of instilled that into you guys. And now you guys are newlyweds, having your first child. You're starting businesses. How was that transition to go from I don't want to work for anyone else, I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna make this money for me and my family my own way on my own terms?
Okay. Well, that's not really quite how it happened. You know, had a job. You know, I've always, you know, figured out how to make money and hustle and, you know, entrepreneurial spirit. But, you know, I had a 9 to 5. So you got to do what you got to do when you have, you know, a wife and, you know, a son on the way or there or, you know, whatever. You know, you got to do what you have to do. So, you know, I can't sit up and say that it started right away. But what happened for me was, since I mentioned briefly, and I talk about it in the book, is I was going to get my Series 7's license with American Express, and I told them that I had a felony for weed, you know, trafficking weed back in college. So I was upfront about the felony then. So I told them, okay, I have a felony, blah, 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 blah. They said, cool, come through the program. So I wasn't making no money. The night before I went to take that test, she was pregnant. And they said, because of your record, you can't get bonded. So I'm still had no money, no nothing. And from that day forward, I knew I would let nobody else decide how I could take care of my family. Right. So even though I had to go get another job, you know, instead of losing everything, I knew what was around the corner because they would cap my earnings based upon something that happened before, stopped me from providing for my family. So, you know, that's kind of where, and a lot of it's in the book. I want to just keep powerofusbrand.com. Yeah, it's in there.
Yes, so a lot of this I pulled from the book. I do want to encourage everyone to go to www.powerofusbrand.com so that you can purchase your very own copy of their book. And make sure you go to their YouTube channel so that you can learn more about the Mayusis, as well as pieces and segments in the book that they discuss, they talk about. It's very transparent, it's very real. And again, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, as well as Instagram, Facebook, and all of the platforms.
We're on all the platforms. Thank you. And if you get the book from our website, thepowerofusbrand.com, you'll get an autographed copy. The book is also available on Amazon. I know we all got Amazon Prime, and you know sometimes you just want a quick, fast, and in a hurry. And so it's also available on Amazon as well. But we've worked hard on this. You know, we wrote this book during the quarantine, and just decided it was time. You know, everybody was home, and we were hearing things about marriages. Some, you know, folks weren't used to being together, and it was just different for them, and so a lot of folks struggled, and we just felt like we've been through some things, and now might be the time for us. You know, I think God is leading us to, you know, tell our story now, and you never know what you've been through, you know, how that might bless somebody else in terms of
Absolutely. So when I was reading the book, like I said, I was just I doing my research, you know. I was reading the book, and I was learning more about you guys. And you talked about, you know, you had some business successes and you had some business failures, and then like the turn of the economy, and just a number of things that kind of made you have to regroup and refocus for the family, to keep the family moving. And so a lot of people throughout the pandemic, they became like CEOs and bosses, and everybody wanted to find something that was their own, because the pandemic pushed a lot of people to realize that jobs are not forever. So what has worked for you guys as far as like being able to be in business together and have family? So like separating the two of working together, family, are you all together all the time, or how's that work?
All together all the time. You know, it is the nature of our business. You know, we work outside of the home. When there are tours and concerts, that take Suleiman outside of the home. But both of our offices are here, you know, at home, which is different. I was used to leaving the house every morning as an educator and going to a school building. And so working all day, you know, in an office that was away from my normal environment, my home environment. So I was able to kind of switch hats. And now everything is a continuum, day into night. And we really haven't, you know, sometimes we hit a stride where we're able to separate and compartmentalize, and other times, you know, it just kind of all meshes in there together. So you just communicate. You gotta talk. We gotta talk things through. We gotta, you know, check in and make sure our schedules are in sync. Our energy is in sync, you know. So that's very important. But yeah, you have it ebbs and flows. You have your seasons of balance and your seasons of juggling.
And so also in the book, you talked about just expanding your talents, you, Leslie, as an educator, you said, and then you joined with Suleiman and his family, a part of their family business. So give a little background on who you guys are as far as like your careers, your industries, because I don't think people really get, like, there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, so the beauty of it is you got two individuals who come together and make a life together, right? So you have to unpack each person individually, and then what we do together. I am an educator. I'm a classically trained pianist. Grew up in the church, played I was minister of music for a church growing up as a teenager. Always sang in the choir. Shout out to the alto section. But that's how I paid my way through college. So I had a very technical, very music theory, very, very classical experience with music and being a pianist. And the appreciation was, was there, absolutely, and the gift was there. But then I went to college and became an educator. I went to college for broadcast journalism, so the communication piece was there, but teaching was a part of who I was. It was, it was passed down in my family, my mother, my aunts, we're a family of educators. So that was part of my legacy. So that's kind of the foundation, unpacking who Leslie is. And when I joined and became a part of the entrepreneurial side, that was a stretching for me. I was used to wanting stability. I had my check that came every 2 weeks. You know exactly how much was coming out. Your insurance was taken care of. You had a life insurance policy that came with that. And, money was set aside for retirement. And, shifting over to entrepreneurship, it was a risk. And it really was. You feel what you eat. And all these years of hearing him say that and seeing him go do his thing, and I kind of maintain my thing, both of them helped the household. But it was just a stretching. It was something new to me. So becoming an entrepreneur was definitely, or putting it into practice was a stretching for me, even though, my parents were entrepreneurs. But having to do it for myself was different for me. So still learning.
Yeah, and I always say, try to encourage other people when it's time to make that that leap into entrepreneurship. Because I asked my wife a few years to do it, and she wasn't ready. You got to wait until they're ready. But
you do. You have to wait till your partner is ready.
Yeah, until you're ready. Now, after she's taken a leap, she told me, she said, "I'm gonna be gone for 1 year." But let me ask you this: if they offered you $100,000 a year, would you go back?
No, I couldn't. I couldn't go back because that's the cap. And there's no telling how many hours you have to pour in. I can control what I bring in, the hours that I make. I can design my life and go after it. It's all about how hungry I am, and I'm already creative, so I couldn't allow somebody else to cap that. Not at this point. Now I know what I got. I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table, so you got to pay for that.
Yes.
Yeah, and for me, it's, I'm what, fifth, sixth generation on my mother's side, and second generation or third generation on my father's side. I think it's always just been in my blood. I figure that I know that I can, I know how to function broke or for lack or whatever. But you can't put a cap on what I'm gonna make. It goes back to the American Express thing. Like, okay, I can make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and that's all I'm gonna make. So if you capping me there, and I know how to function at zero, why would I take that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You just take that risk and just go for it. You know what I mean? So it's just a way of life. I left my last job at the Detroit Historical Museum April 29th, 2003, and haven't worked for anybody else since then. And I'm not gonna say it's been all good and this, that, you've been the ups and downs, but through the grace of God, we're still here.
You quoted in the book, and I'm gonna read this verbatim: "Entrepreneurial spirit is an irresistible calling to make shit happen every day." I love that. I was like, I'm gonna write that down, put that on my mirror. I thought that was the best ever. I said,
every day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Every day.
I mean, you gotta make shit happen. You know what I mean? Period. It's and I'm far from a pastor or anything like that, but really, God blesses action, and that's real. If you get up and go and don't live in fear, I mean, we're humans, so you get nervous and this, that, other, but just go get it. You know what I mean? Just go get it. If you keep going, it won't stop. If it's something that you're passionate about, don't do it for the money. Do it for the passion, and the money will come.
Yeah. I'm seeing the birth of it right now in our son Suleiman, who's at Morehouse. It's that desire to get up and make shit happen. He's doing an internship right now in New York for Atlantic Records. But yes, I mean, just amazing. And he, in his free time, he kind of saves his money and he puts it towards studio time. He likes to write music. He's he's got a few albums on Apple Music, and so he is stacking his money.
Yes.
And he apply and after internship, and he goes to work, in a brand new city, and he found a couple studios. He linked up with a couple producers. To me, that is the start of that. That's the ignition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting up to make it happen, following his passion. So it's really beautiful to see at the beginning level, for your own child. You know what it was for you, and it's different for everybody, but to see it kind of spark for your own baby, that is something nice. It's beautiful.
Right. Let's take a pause and let's welcome everyone that has started to join us, that's tuning in now. This is season 4.
Hey, Lady Brazil.
Touch Base Thursday, season 4. Oh my gosh. And I mean, you guys, thank you guys so much that's been liking, comment, sharing. Those that have been in my DMs, like, hey, when's Touch Base Thursday coming back? Everyone that's been following me on Facebook, that's been liking my reels, like, even though it's sometimes random, but thank you guys for paying attention.
Good job for doing reels.
Like, that's a huge thing as a creator, having people interact with your, I guess, really with your art, with what you're putting out. So thank you guys so much, and thank you for joining us for season 4. My guest tonight on episode 1 is Leslie and Suleiman Mausi of the Power of Us brand. Their book is available online at www.powerofusbrand.com. You can find them on Instagram as well. They are available on Instagram, on Amazon currently, as well as their website. But make sure you're following this amazing couple on all of their social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. In the meantime, we are going to circle back to this book. So now we're going to get to like the juice of the book. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, now, so we're talking about family, and so now we are at the portion of the book where, Suleiman, you're now telling your story about you have a son, and you're now telling Leslie about your son, Nasir, and the whole dynamic of adding to the family and that power shift, I guess, a bit. And then how the rest of the family interceded for you guys and prayed for you guys and continue to love on you guys. Let's talk about that, because I think a lot of people need to hear this story and also understand how impactful it is to have a community, a village, to be there to pray for you and pray you through things. So let's talk about that.
Woo, you make it sound rosy and, woo, kumbaya, the whole family. That's how
I said in the book. The book was like, all the ladies came and prayed, and that's how the book said it.
Listen. I'm glad to reread that thing. I'm glad it came off that way.
This is why we have interviews, because now we can, put some context to meet. Because when you buy a $24.99 book, you just getting a slice, a snippet, So give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's no easy way to have to tell your wife that you've been unfaithful and have a child. It's crushing. Mm-hmm. It's crushing to her. It's crushing to you. It's crushing to the family. It's a monster.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't even put it into words, really. I am extremely thankful for our family, for her mom and dad who are no longer here. Yeah. I'm thankful for eventually saying something. As we said in the book, waited. It was 8 months. He was 8 months old, so I was going through hell
Mm-hmm.
9 months, 8 months, this, that, other, and it's a lot. It's part of writing this book and being able to talk about it publicly. We shared. He's 7 now. Sharing this book and just being able to talk publicly about what we've been through and how we worked through it and how it progressed. I thought it was over. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no kumbaya tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm still fighting like motherfucker every day to make sure she stay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no clear cut, easy path for it. It's you have that conversation, you talk it through. You gotta pray, and you gotta have some real hard talks with yourself.
Yes.
And God first, yourself, your spouse. But writing the book and talking about it publicly is that we're not the first one it happened to.
Correct.
We won't be the last one it happened to.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about how you deal with this situation, or any situation in life, is really what it comes down to. That's the Cliff Notes version. So I'll pass it to my wife.
Yeah. For me, it was crushing. It's as if someone threw a brick through my gut, through my belly. It definitely was traumatic hearing the words, having that conversation. You felt the blow. My whole life stopped. And I think that, I had to really weigh and look at the layers of betrayal that I was realizing happened, right? Not only was my husband unfaithful, but there was a child born.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 9-month pregnancy. And the child, when I found out, was 8 months old. Right. We're talking about an extended period of coexisting, and me not knowing, there was so much to peel back. And when I made the decision, first of all, it wasn't an easy decision to make that, I'm going to fight for my family. But I had to allow myself to feel all of that, right? All of that rage. That was kind of like my hitting bottom, right? Because there's nowhere else to go but up. And some people don't even want to kind of deal with I had to deal with the reality and the facts. I want all the facts. Right. Let me deal with it.
Right.
And, let it burn, right? Let it burn. But then I had to prioritize, this was my husband. Clearly there were some things here. There was a breakdown somewhere, right? You just have to thank God for his word, who tells us who we are and how he made us, right? That's why a spiritual foundation is so important, because you come away from a situation like that questioning yourself and your own value, and am I enough? Right. And let's be very clear. I was always enough. I am enough. That's not the issue here. The issue is you got two imperfect people. There was some kind of, breakdown. No one's perfect. What was the root of how that even began? This is my boy. This is my husband. We got house here. This is a fucking life. Right. We got businesses and shit. I mean, I had to go get gutter like that. Right. Church girl, right? But yeah, it is a lot to come back from, but you make the decision. You really have to weigh it out. You make the decision. And for me, my family, my marriage, God, why you wouldn't show me this life that you have planned for me if you didn't intend for us to walk that out. You wouldn't show me the things, the cattle on 1,000 hills. You wouldn't show me that if you didn't intend for us to walk that out. Well, then I need you to help me.
Mm-hmm.
If I do this, I need you to surround me. And, you know, sometimes you just got to talk to God like that.
Absolutely.
It's clearly bigger than us.
You talked about your parents anointing you all and praying over you all. And I thought that was so impactful because Suleiman, when he was telling his story, he was like, you know, the family didn't turn their backs on me. Y'all had Thanksgiving dinner and like you were just thinking about how awkward it was going to be. But he was, you know, sharing in his part of the story that, you know, your parents, they just continue to love on him, love on you, and just kind of help guide you guys through this particular moment in your marriage. And then the family members for the family vacation, then, you know, that's the part I was getting to when I was talking about, you know, the ladies getting together. It was like, oh, girl, we got you. So let's talk about all of that, the family embracing what has happened, as well as your children, like your sons, because they were teenagers, or still are teenagers, but they were a bit younger at that time. So how did they embrace having a new brother?
Okay. It's a lot to unpack. Okay. Let's go back to the one of the defining moments. You know, her parents were praying people. Mm-hmm. You know, outstanding human beings. I miss them dearly. Watched the video with them earlier, but I'm not going to sit up here and say that it was hunky dory. Hey, everything's okay. But let's not get it confused.
Right.
I think that from, you know, and I can only speak from my perception of them, is they were really, really not spiritual. They were devout. I mean, they were real prayer people. You know what I'm saying? So they trusted God. However it worked out, it was going to be within their will. And then it was going to support their daughter, whatever she decided to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? If she decided to bounce, they would bounce with them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, that's what it was, you know. But, you know, the tough conversations that I had with my father-in-law, and, you know, having a conversation with my mother, I went to them and talked to them about it. So it wasn't just a hunky-dory, hey, we're going to Jamaica. It wasn't that. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I'm saying? Right. But it was, this is what the reality is. So now the baby's not going anywhere. So when we stay together now, he's still and I saw it was a window, and I asked if she would go consider a trip together, you know, because the kids didn't know it was still raw. And then
I was like, this is,
you know,
it's crazy.
She, you know, and she said yes.
Mm-hmm.
I said I would consider it.
So we consider. So I did, you know, did all the research, put everything together, called, I think it was Shani, put this, that, other. And then my brothers and the family and stuff knew what was going on. Mm-hmm. You know, so it was out. And so we had never really, as my brothers, with our families, we had never taken a trip like that.
I mean, it's so many kids.
It's so many kids.
Right.
It's like
it's
18
a lot
of us.
of us.
It's a movie.
Right.
We can't do nothing else we can reproduce.
And the way we travel, we want to... The way we travel, we leave in this continent and going somewhere else, right? So it's gonna be money and airfare. When I saw everyone was making concessions and making plans and had bought plane tickets, and I mean, we had never done a trip on this scale, and to know that it was because of what we were going through and where we were and the decision that I had to make.
And it wasn't made.
And it was not made.
It was not made, you know.
It was not. It was still fresh.
Right.
It still hurt. You know, it was painful. But for me, I was like, well, my kids, my sons, you know, if this is the last, you know, hoorah for us. If we're going to end this, I want them, we need to at least create this memory. Right. So I'm going to do this for them. It's going to be a beautiful trip. And then I can be deuces. I'm out. But we'll have the, you know what I mean? That was that was my yes, because I still didn't have to make the decision. But as a mother, here's an opportunity. And everybody was coming. I was like, let's do it. Let's
Mm-hmm.
do it. You know, and I've always been able to travel. For me, travel has always been healing. When I leave,
However, take a turn. She turned on trips to Jamaica. You can go to Jamaica tomorrow. Yes.
Oh,
But
okay.
no, I mean that came. I mean, in that case, like I said, everybody came together.
Yeah, but you breathe differently when you're off. You know, you can weigh
Mm-hmm.
things differently. You can think clearly because you're
Yes.
not at home.
Yes.
And so I think that's just what made the trip, you know, so special. I was able to kind of really process. And we were surrounded by love. You know, I shared with my sisters-in-law what was happening. And I don't know that their husbands had told them, you know, brothers have a cold, honey. We
Right.
all married brothers. These jokers have a cold. But you know, I shared with them, and they we were in the pool. I remember we were at the swim up bar, but in a, you know, and they just surrounded me. We were all in the pool, and I was like, I don't want to break down and cry here, but I'm just letting you know, this is the beginning of the vacation. I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need to lean on you, and they were there. It was.
Yeah. That's amazing. And thank God for, you know, in-laws that you love and that they love you, because you have a lot of people that have in-laws that are actually outlaws. So
yeah, I don't get that. I don't know nothing about that. You know.
So it's, you know, that's an amazing feeling to have that community and that village to be there to support not just you, Leslie, but you as well, Suleiman, as a couple, and just be there and just say, hey, we got y'all. You know, whatever it happens, we got y'all.
Yeah.
And another other thing for me that it going on that trip in particular, it gave me the indication that I had a shot to make it work. You know what I'm saying? You could just a little crack. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bust that. You know, I got a shot. You know what I'm saying? Really, you know, a lot of people say it really shouldn't have been one, but
right.
You know, take that opportunity, and you know, you gotta put pressure on the bitch. Come with it. You know what I'm saying?
He came through with that pressure, sis.
Oh, girl, Amy has joined. Watch your.
He applied pressure, sis.
He
applied that pressure.
Still applying, you know. You know.
So with that, and like I said, you know, so now the family knows, the sister-in-laws, the brothers, you know, your parents on both sides, everyone knows what's going on. So how was it explaining to Suleiman Jr. and Ahmad that, hey, you have a little brother?
So when the Jamaica trip happened, I was probably a month, maybe a little over a month hearing the news, fresh with the news. The adults knew, but our sons did not know, because I still didn't know what I was going to do. I knew that whether we stayed together or not, we needed to be in some kind of counseling. And it was his responsibility to find the counselor and to initiate that process. I wasn't willing to fight harder than he was willing to fight. So I put, you know, the responsibility was on him, and he followed through. I also want to kind of go back a little bit, but not really go back. I just want to preface all this by saying he confessed. There is something about a confession when the person who has wronged you comes to you and says, I have done something wrong. Now, I will be honest, the Holy Spirit spoke to me when I was at the hair salon, honey, sitting under the dryer, and was like, you know, you need to confront your husband about his health. He had been looking sick and all of that, and had been smoking cigarettes a lot. And so the Holy Spirit just said, ask him about his health. And so that's what started the conversation. But he absolutely confessed, and confessed to our pastor and first lady, and confessed to my mother and father.
Right.
So that act right there of confession for me let me know that I can be okay with pursuing counseling and seeing, you know, what this was and if this was something that was even repairable. Because I literally tried to leave the house the night that he told me and that whole weekend. And when I tell you, it was the Lamplighter Awards, which is this big gospel music awards down here in the South. I think it's affiliated with a radio station. And every hotel room in the city and in the outskirts was packed. So all the gospel artists were here in Raleigh. Mm-hmm. There was nowhere. I was trying to get a room. So, you know, God kind of orchestrated it, made it difficult. I couldn't really, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, I took it as a sign, like, let me pump my brakes and just listen, be right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he was very intentional about finding a counselor. We did counseling for a full year before we told the boys. We wanted to make sure that we were in a place. And counseling took us on this journey. And we got to a point where it was absolutely worth it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely worth it to heal and repair. Everything that God has showed me and showed us was exactly what he expected and intended for our lives. Right. We just needed to walk this out. This was bigger than us. We weren't the first people that this had happened to. And I wanted my family. Absolutely. I wanted my family.
Absolutely. Period. So let me ask you, and this question is for either one or both, what nuggets would you guys offer for those that are either dating currently or that are building towards marriage? Because you have a lot of fluff, you have a lot of fairy tale storytelling, but not the real, not like when your back is against the wall. So what, I say nuggets, but what pearls of wisdom would you give to those that are currently dating or currently working towards marriage?
Good luck out there. Ooh, it look nasty. You know, it's rough.
I couldn't imagine.
Shit. The media look rough. Lord have mercy.
It is rough.
I don't know parts of that shit. I'm about to work it out right here. I'm thinking,
it is rough.
I want no more trouble. You know
what I'm saying? The one you with. Listen. I would say to you always hear people make your list of who you want, but I really feel like if you have wives, this is whether you are single or married, but we're speaking about single, you know, those who are on their way. If you are, just position yourself as a wife. Pray that God, you know, transform you. It's a posture. It's being a wife. It's just yourself as position. Well, I would pray for my husband before I knew who he was, and I would pray for my marriage before I was even in a relationship. You know, I feel like if you start there, right, and work on yourself. Who are you as a woman? What are you bringing to this table? Yes. You know, I was very excited to embark on life by myself, you know, on my own. I was this, you know, so that's kind of that's what created my grind and my hustle. So I had something to bring to the table, but who are you as a woman, and what do you bring to the table that is worthy of, you know, linking up with someone that the kind of person that you got this list, right? Everybody got this list, right? You know, so you just gotta, but then also humble yourself and pray for this person who is your husband. You don't know who he is, but pray for him. Ask God to order his steps, you know, and as you're praying, not specifically, you know, let him be 6'5", but praying that God, you know, bless him and keep him, that God sever these generational strongholds that, you know, that exist in his bloodline, that God keep him strong, and, you know, things like that. Now you're speaking into your future. You don't even know who this person is, but you're praying for your husband sincerely, and you are kind of solidifying and building your foundation for your marriage. God is going, that's going to manifest. That's going to draw who that man is. I believe if you start there, then, you know, that helps him manifest.
Come on, manifest.
And for me, I say for men, you know, like I said, I've been married so long about the dating scene, but realize the pivot that's within us. Because what it is that we go from 10, 12 to chasing all the way through. We the ones that gotta, you know, getting turned down, and you know, we gotta chase go and years of rejection and all this, that, other, to being the hunted.
Yes.
So you gotta be more careful and realizing the pendulum switch, switch. You know what I mean? So you have to
that's good.
You know, take note in that. You know, take it as a position of humility and of power and of strength, but be real careful. You know what I mean? Because if you're not paying attention, because they know what the fuck they doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to be careful and be very, very selective. You know what I mean? And don't put up with the shit. You know what I mean? So it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's a pendulum swift that we're not used to. You know,
right.
To happen, and it happens to us quick. Before we know it, it's like, hey, how'd that happen? You know what I'm saying? So.
But don't abuse that power.
Exactly.
To that shit.
No, don't add nothing to my shit. You know what I'm saying?
No,
we do it. You know what I'm saying? That's mine. I ain't add nothing to yours. No, don't get it. I gave the advice. You know what I'm saying?
Don't abuse that power.
You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to, King. Stay woke. You know what I'm saying?
We have some comments. Let's see the comments.
Comments or questions? Any questions out there? You know.
We have comments. So
I hope we're not boring y'all out there.
Not from these comments. These comments is lit. So let's see. Sean Bigby. Shout out to Minister Sean Bigby in South Carolina. He says, absolutely, wife or husband is a calling and requires a lot. We have from J. Lynette David, humble. We have that's good. We got some amens. A Day in My Life says, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. This is powerful. So people are loving this. People are loving it.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you all for rocking with us. I see 9 people still on here.
Yeah, any questions, comments? I mean, you know, I know people probably don't know us, so they may, you know.
Thank you, Charity.
No, they are loving it. So
you know what I mean? It's
let's pivot a bit. Let's talk about what you guys are doing now. So now we have Leslie is a part of the Ebony Anglers.
Yeah.
Which is a all-female competitive deep sea fishing team. Am I saying that right?
You said it right. First all African American in the world.
Yes. And you guys have already won competitions and tournaments that you guys have been participating in. Like, y'all are racking it up.
Yes, we started in June of 2020. My friend Gia Peebles, whose idea this was, came up with the idea in June of 2020. 30 days later, July of 2020, we formed an LLC. We came up with, came up with the logo, came up with the name Ebony Anglers, chose some colors, got some t-shirts from the Target $5 t-shirt sale.
Yes.
One of my teammates, she got the creek cut and screenshot or screen printed the logo onto the t-shirts, and we entered our first tournament and we won. We reeled in a 48-pound king mackerel. It hit on my line. We reeled that sucker in. We won a North Carolina citation, and we have literally been competing in deep sea tournaments ever since, every quarter. And we currently are in the middle of a tournament right now, a week-long tournament. We fished it last weekend, and we are currently sitting in third place for the largest Spanish mackerel.
Oh,
so
wow.
we are just Black women out on the deep sea doing it, and there are not many women that look like us on the deep sea. None really, right?
None.
And every quarter we are competing. We're
yes,
out
we do
here representing. We do speaking engagements. In fact, we've got something coming up July 30th. We'll be speaking at Women's Empowerment, which is Radio 1 Raleigh here in North Carolina at PNC Arena. We will be speaking at Women's Empowerment on Saturday, July 30th. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, but you can book us. You know what I'm saying? We can do Zoom. We can do fly in. We can do
whatever. Come on, fly in.
You know, we fly in. We work it out. You know what I'm saying? We make it do what it do. You know?
Sean Bigby says, how long have you been into fishing? Well, my father was an angler. My dad passed away in April of 2019, and he had taught my sister and I how to fish when we were little girls. We had a boat when we lived in Detroit, so we had experience with fishing as kids and with boating as kids, but as grown women, you know, you get caught up in life. So it wasn't until the pandemic, everything shut down, that we happened to just kind of travel. Everything had stopped. So we went out to the coast with some friends and went out on their boat, and we were fishing. You know how you had your pandemic pods during that time, and the people that you hung with. And,
yes.
We were there with a couple couples, and we were just fishing, and it was peaceful. It was serene, and you just got away from mentally all the things that you were dealing with, you know, with the pandemic. And then 30 days later, she was like, hey, that weekend, she was like, I got an idea to start a team. Want to do it? And I'm like, yep, count me in. I got the goosebumps because my father was always an angler. I had just lost him, and I wanted to kind of feel connected to him spiritually. So we all have team names. My team name is Legacy because of my dad.
Come on.
So I am a legacy angler. And we're all, the beautiful thing is we're all mothers, we're all wives, we're all entrepreneurs, and we just have embraced the sport of deep sea fishing. And we've been on the Today Show. We've been on, when I tell you the culture has embraced us, and it's because this is not the first time Black people are fishing. Black people have always fished in our culture.
Absolutely.
It's just deep sea fishing requires some deep pockets. You got to charter a boat. You got to charter a boat. If you're going out into these tournaments are like thousands of dollars in order to just register. But that's where the big money is. And our folks don't
pull the resources and
we don't pull the resources and do it. We don't know to do that. A lot of us, we've done it for survival. We've done it for recreation.
Right.
But there's people out here that don't look like us that's doing it for a living. And why not us? And why not us as women? So we out here doing it.
I love it. So I have a quote by Leslie from the book, The Power of a Girlfriend, that says, I call it The Power of Girlfriends, but the quote says, the ability of 5 women to act on inspiration, collaborate, and execute in this way exemplifies the entrepreneurial spirit one must have to thrive in business. I love that. That's going on my mirror.
Yeah, it was beautiful to see 5 women. We each are in different lanes and different industries, but to see each of us kind of take the reins of this experience and own it in a way, you know, one person is great with branding. Another person is great with, orchestration. They do all the paperwork. Another one's a treasurer. Another one chooses our tournaments. I handle all the PR and the publicity. Like, we are really flowing in our gifts, and to see 5 Black women kind of mobilize and do that and do it smoothly during a time, I feel like everything was accelerated during the pandemic. If you stepped out on anything, if you went for something, we wrote this book. If you did something independent, I feel like there was like a spirit of acceleration during the pandemic, because God bless His movement. And even when things look bleak and when it's like, oh God, now is when we need to be sitting down and being quiet. But then there's also a blessing on movement as well. So I just think that was beautiful to see 5 Black women come together and do that and execute it very well. And we are still executing it. And
I'm a proud husband.
Yeah, it's nice.
I carry the rod.
I love it.
And he cooks the fish.
I cook the fish.
Come on, cook.
I don't know nothing about it. I don't know nothing about fishing.